Do I have volume?
Awesome. You do.
Yay. So I want to thank everybody very much for coming to this vigil for Nex. I'm Luca. I'm one of the people who's been organizing this event. Sam, one of the other co-organizers, will be showing up. Do I need more volume? Is this better? Sorry, I gotta take the mask off. Forgive me. So shortly we'll be having some other kind of altar making supplies. We do have some crepe paper, we have some note cards up front, so if anybody wants to write a message or do anything else to kind of decorate this space that we're trying to make in honor of Nex, that would be awesome, and you're definitely invited. We also have the intention of this being a community space. We would especially like to kind of center and honor trans youth as well as indigenous people. As we all know, Nex was an indigenous non-binary teen who was killed in part because of sort of the overlapping effects of settler colonialism and state violence and anti-trans violence that all intersected to lead to the death of this person, as it has led to the deaths of many other people. Sorry, I'm a little bit emotional about this myself. So people who are trans, people who are queer and trans youth, people from indigenous communities, we would like to especially honor your voices in this space. We want this to be a space for the community to come together. So regardless of your identity, regardless of whether or not you are queer or trans, regardless of your indigeneity or non-indigeneity, we would also like you to come together and talk to each other if you have space for that within yourself. If you want to be here to grieve collectively but in silence, we honor that as well. So please take from this space what you need to take from this space. We will do our best to give it to you. I also, before people start kind of talking and going about their actions of grieving in all of our own ways here, I want to remind everybody that what happened to Nex is not an isolated event. And it's not just an event that happened out in Oklahoma. The transphobic bias, the settler colonialist violence that led to this person's life being snuffed out is not just in Oklahoma. We are at risk in Rhode Island as well. Over the past year, we've seen school boards being kind of inflicted with right-wing bias from community members and from outside groups such as Moms of Liberty. We've seen hatred in North Smithfield. We've seen hatred in Westerly. We've seen hatred happening even in Barrington. Many people in these towns are trying to counter transphobia in the schools. Many people are perpetuating it. So this cannot stand within our state. I also want to remind us all that we think that Rhode Island is a safe state, but Rhode Island is not a safe state currently for trans youth. In addition to these attacks at the local level in school boards, we have no sanctuary legislation. We have no health shield legislation. There are currently health shield laws in process. So there's a bill in the House and Senate that is a health care shield law that will protect trans children from other states who are effectively refugees seeking health care in Rhode Island. I would urge all of you to contact your state representatives and your state senators and urge them to vote yes on that legislation. So with that, thank you all very much for coming. The community appreciates your support, and we all need to come together for each other in times like this. So anyone else who wants to speak, needs to speak, has something to say, please come up. We've got space for you. Anyone who wants to help me and help the rest of the community build this altar, come on up and help. Otherwise, please talk to each other. Please build community with each other. And I love all of you. Thank you. Yeah, bring them up, please. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. I'm gonna place this down for a moment.
Great. If you guys want to take charge of that, go for it. Sorry, voice you up. Sorry, my hand is frozen too. If speakers are happening, there anyone is invited, specific people have been invited, they can totally come up. I did not have a direct contact with them as a speaker, so I don't know. Everyone reached out. Nobody reached out and asked. We have space open if anyone is called to speak, and if you want to speak, because I know you guys talk about that. Don't call me. My name's Day. I'm sorry, Day. I don't know you. So we've got a mic over here.
Thank you all for showing up. Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs down. My name is Day Lee. Like many of you, I'm a member of the trans community. I've gone through a couple of names at this point. All of them have had deep meaning to me personally and involved a lot of research to come up with. Day Lee is meant to reference my grandmother, whose name was Daisy. There was a speaker at the Vigil for Nex in Boston yesterday who introduced herself as Anaphylaxis. The crowd laughed there, and I couldn't help but think Nex's name is very similar. There's definitely a backstory to that name that many of us can't begin to know or assume, but I like to think that the backstory is that it sounds like Nex Benedict. I bet when Nex was alive, they would laugh about how their name sounds like Nex Benedict and make jokes out of the name and bond with family and friends over. I can't help but share this thought because my first thought in hearing Nex's name was how many innocent moments they probably had with their friends and family about things like this. And yet those who killed Nex, from the people who assaulted Nex to the school administrators who refused to get help for Nex, to the legislators who provoked Nex's murder, could not enjoy the bit. They decided to steal that joy from Nex, from Nex's loved ones, from Nex's tribe, which is the Choctaw tribe, from the trans indigenous communities, and from the world. They made an active decision to beat that joy out of our community. And I am so sick of replacing that joy with grief, because grief is overwhelming and numbing, and it makes me feel helpless and incapable. And it feels like this impossible ladder to climb to just make the world right again. I have been feeling all of that so much lately. I am choosing to replace my joy with unbridled rage. I feel rage towards the other students who beat Nex to death in the bathroom. I feel rage towards the school administration for ignoring Nex's pleas to call an ambulance and who wanted to send Nex back to class. I feel rage towards Chaya Reichik, who runs the Libs of TikTok account and has used her platform to target this school district before Nex had been murdered, spreading the ideology that killed this child. I feel rage towards Ryan Walters, the Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction, who responded to Nex's murder by making public statements about how there are only two genders, as if a child didn't die under his care. Conservative platforms and media faces have spent so much hot air trying to tell us that there are only two genders. Your chromosomes define what you are. They call us mentally ill and mutilated. I do not give a damn. If a mentally ill, mutilated child was murdered at school, I would not waste my time discussing the validity of whatever I perceive to be a mental illness or mutilation. I would demand to hold the responsible parties accountable. Conservatives are obsessed with telling us over and over again what we are and are not. If they believed what they were saying so much about us, their actions would match their words. They claim to care about the safety of children who are being welcomed into our community, but they allow those same children to be murdered in their schools. They claim to care about getting tricked into sleeping with us, and yet 66% of trans people have faced sexual violence according to the Office of Victims of Crime. They claim to care about our bodies and health in transition, and yet at the same time, they strip away our access to healthcare and housing. They claim that there are only two genders, and gender is just your chromosomes. Okay, in that case, gender isn't about pronouns, and you can call next they, them, and you can call the goddamn ambulance when they need it. Despite my unbridled rage at the system that let Nex down, I want something good to come out of this tonight. First, I want y'all leaving the space more tied to your community than you were before. This is the loneliest time in history. I feel it, and I know y'all feel it too. It is so difficult to see all the terrible news on our phones every day and night about the horrible bills passed in every state, including ours, limiting our bodily autonomy and right to transition. Seeing the actions of the state and country cutting back on the sovereign lands of Indigenous people and the rights of Indigenous people to stay together in their families, and seeing the actions of seeing horrific violence across the world and to still be expected to go to work and school. I can't help but feel as if nothing will change without us spending this time to build community. And I want people to leave this place with one more friend than you had before and one more ally than you had before. If you are not a member of the trans community, I want you to become more connected to the trans community today. If you are not a member of the Indigenous community, I want you to become more connected to the Indigenous community today. I want you to reach out to the local tribe, the Narragansett tribe, and the Wampanoag tribe if you live further east. I can't tell if this microphone is totally. And I want you to learn more about that tribe and learn more about how you can help with specific issues that they face. And I want you to talk to each other right now and use this space to leave here more connected to your community and leave here more empowered. And I'm gonna give you a chance to do that right now, but I also wanna let everybody know that the microphone is up for anyone who feels called to speak. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and for showing up today.
Hello everybody, my name is Melody. I'm a trans woman, I use she, her. Yeah, I feel so much rage and pain for Nex's murder. And for me, seeing violence happen to my trans siblings is almost a constant occurrence. I grew up in Texas, and one of the things that makes me most angry is how repression in Texas and in Oklahoma and everywhere in the US, it's not just limited to red states, it's not just limited to conservatives, how it robs us of our ability to see ourselves. I will never get the years back that I spent in that world. I'll never get to be a teenage girl or wear a dress to prom. And yet I still feel lucky because I wasn't murdered. And I'm so angry, and in so much pain. It feels like I have to scream, but I don't have a mouth. I want revenge. And even saying that feels so scary to me. I've been taught for so long that my anger makes me more of a target. But it's righteous. I don't know what justice for Nex looks like. I don't know what justice for me or any of my other trans family looks like. And the ways that my mind leaps to revenge are ways that would get me put in a men's prison. And so I content myself with imagining that loving myself viciously, vengefully, bitterly, and spitefully each and every day is the best revenge I can get. And I view every day that I wake up alive and caring for myself as a day that the entire system of racial colonial capitalism that murdered Nex and wants me dead too, and wants indigenous people dead, and wants everyone who doesn't submit to it dead. I view every day that I wake up alive and in love with myself as a day that I win and that murder machine loses. I think that's all I have to say. I hope, as the last speaker said, that people are able to find some love and connection to each other. Tonight, I truly believe that's the best weapon we have, perhaps the only weapon. I love each and every one of you. Thank you.
Check, check. Can everyone hear me all right? Is this a little bit better?
It's better.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
better.
Please. Peace, everyone. My name is Corey. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a proud trans woman, and I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. We are here today to mourn the loss of Nex Benedict and to talk about what it means to fight for trans youth and all queer and trans people. We know that the attack that happened against Nex was not an isolated incident. It is the direct result of a right-wing push to ban trans and gender nonconforming people from the public and force us back into the closet. Last year across this country, we saw over 500 anti-trans bills introduced. This year is already on track to match that. They don't want to just ban trans healthcare for youth. They also want to ban trans healthcare for adults too. But they can't stop, but they won't stop at trans healthcare. They've openly stated that they're coming for our right to change our birth certificates and IDs, for LGBT marriage, and abortion access. The right wing creates conditions for this discrimination and violence, using all their media like Fox News in order to ensure that people are too busy fighting each other to see that the wealthy right wing is the enemy to us all. For instance, anti-trans legislation is often framed as necessary to, quote, protect women. But we know that's bullshit. LGBT people are 4 times as likely to be the victim of violent crime than non-LGBT people, and suffer higher levels of poverty overall. LGBT youth of color face a higher risk of homelessness and incarceration. They wanted to introduce legislation. If they wanted to introduce legislation that protected women, then they would guarantee free abortion access on demand. They would guarantee free child care. They would guarantee access to higher education, and they would guarantee equal pay for all. All of these rights would equally benefit women and trans people. There are no women's rights separate from trans rights. We should be fighting together, not against one another. Unfortunately, we've seen that politicians do not protect us. Democrats like to position themselves as allies of the LGBT plus community, but what have they done? Biden promised to pass the Equality Act in the first 100 days of office, and instead, he let the Supreme Court overturn Roe v. Wade during his presidency, the one thing that Democrats vowed they would always protect. Now he's using reproductive rights as a bargaining chip to get people to vote for him in the upcoming election. Our rights are not a bargaining chip. Our rights are not up for debate. Ultimately, liberation for trans people will not be given by a state that only cares about profit. Our government tries to divide queer and trans people from women and divide us all from men because it makes us easier to control. But the ruling class won't protect us. But look around you. Look at all the millions of people across this country and across the world who are grieving Nex's death. Together, we are more than capable of protecting ourselves. We are capable of uplifting trans lives, trans needs, and freedom of gender expression for all people. The U.S. government, as it is, will not hand us our liberation. The people fighting together will win our liberation. And because any rights we might win can be eroded and taken away under capitalism, we must fight to change the entire system to one that is for the people and by the people. What we need is a system that guarantees basic rights for all people, a movement of the working class for the working class, not the rich. A system that puts exploited and oppressed people in charge who will defend the needs of the many and not the few. As we mourn Nex and too many trans lives lost every year, we must commit ourselves not only to fighting against transphobic violence, we must commit to tearing down capitalism and building a new system in its place. Thank you. If there's any other speakers, feel free to use this.
Thank you for that. Hello, my name is E, and I use they, them pronouns. I'm here tonight as a parent, and I'm here tonight as a birth and a death doula, and I'm here tonight as someone who identifies as trans non-binary. It's always sacred when we gather in community and we mark the time. This is a time of death, and I think about how trans people and trans youth, even in our times of death, we don't always get to be remembered in our truest selves, even by the people who love us. Even our ritual and our gathering and the marking of time, we still live in a world where that may be misunderstood. And so it's beautiful and important that we're together naming Nex for who they are and who they were. And I appreciate so deeply that the speakers who have gone before me tonight have brought the naming of truth about the politic of what we must do with our grief. And I'm going to bring a poem because we need both. We need to mark what death is and what death does. And so this is a poem about death and dying, and it's a poem about the land, and it's by Mary Oliver. called In Blackwater Woods. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds, and every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I've ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, and to hold it against your bones, knowing that your own life depends on it. And when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. Thank you.
I'm gonna take my mask off. My name is Haley Peters. I am a queer and trans citizen of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. And hearing of Nex's death, their murder, was so impactful. Growing up, there is not a lot of reference. There aren't a lot of two-spirit, trans, queer, indigenous elders that I had the opportunity to meet, to know about. No one to talk to. Those two threads, those two identifiers in one person is so unique and so special. Their existence is incredibly sacred and beautiful. Nex deserved to become a trans elder. And the outrage that I feel for the school system, the state legislation, the country's doing is unbelievable. Indigenous youth, Indigenous trans youth deserve so much better. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maeve. I use they, them pronouns, and I wanted to speak. People have been talking about rage and joy, and I wanted to say we all have in front of us. All of us are holding a piece of fire. Life is like fire. You feed it, you give it air, it breathes. You know, it's given room, it grows, and it is so easy to snuff out. Like many, I've been a victim of school violence. I'm alive in the world despite other people's best efforts. But you hold this fire, it is like life. If you protect it and nourish it, it will grow. If you take the effort to snuff it out, it will go away, much like everybody here. But together, if you protect it, if you protect each other, it grows and it flourishes. Fire is like rage. It is like joy. It can be used to destroy or create. It cooks our food. It melds our metals. You know, it is a tool. Life is also a tool. You know, you do what you want with your life. To see something snuffed out like that at a young age is just a terrible thing. You know, but we're coming together to guard our flames, to remember this flame, and to pick up and build a community within ourselves instead of allowing others to tear us down. And that is what needs to be done. You know, understand that without guarding your flame and allowing other people to help you, that flame is something that other people want to remove from the world. And, you know, it is not just your responsibility, but the responsibility of your of the communities you are in to help that flame flourish. And that's all I really needed to say. I'm so happy to see people out here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Harper. I use she, her pronouns. I love being trans. It's also, I feel scared all the time. And these very strong emotions that people have been talking about, also a lot of very just flat, numb. But it's really wonderful to hang out with other trans people. That makes me feel more safe. Well, anyway, I have something rather specific to say that has been helping me. It's not for everybody, maybe, but there's a group of trans, queer women, queer people and women, and there's a self-defense class, a jiu-jitsu class that meets on Mondays at 6 p.m., and everybody is welcome, and it's free to come, at least for a little while, and it's been making me feel a lot more safe. Yeah, just like going to the grocery store today, I almost don't notice how much work it is to just be always looking and seeing what people are seeing. I'm not doing a good job of expressing myself, but
Doing great.
what I'm trying to say is, I imagine other people have this like constant tension inside, maybe also, which I've been calling fear, which is maybe also other feelings. One thing that has been helping me has been the self-defense class. It makes me feel more not scared. I don't know how to say it. And everybody's welcome. And that's one thing. The other thing is, somebody was just saying about how they never met, or there are very few trans elders in their community. I also don't know any trans parents. It's just so crazy that I'm 34 years old and want to have a kid, and I don't know any other trans moms. So these are just very specific things. I don't know if it's really appropriate, but I'd love to meet other trans parents or people who are thinking about it. And also, if you want to come tomorrow night at 6 p.m., it's at Providence Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's a good environment.
Hello all, Valmore Jade. I use they, them pronouns. I identify as gender fluid and trans non-binary. Like all of you here, I am here to mourn Nex's murder and honor their life. I also have a poem to share. It's about deserving more than just the minimal acknowledgement of our existence, and deserving to thrive in the beauty of our queerness and our transness. The poem is called Cup of Tea. I don't care if you approve at all. It doesn't mean that much to me. I don't mind if I'm not at all your fucking cup of tea. But you still stare and act appalled and refuse to let me be. I hope you know that I am more than you will ever get to see. I am trying to exist in beautiful ways that help me feel so free. Why must you try and push me down and bring me to my knees? I refuse to plead for your conditional acceptance. I'd rather be in loving queer effervescence. I deserve much more than your begrudging acquiescence. I deserve to feel wholehearted love and acceptance.
Hello everyone, my name is Emily. I use she, they pronouns, and I am here with you all mourning Nex, and I'm here as an artist and educator who, for the past week, it's a very heavy mixture of feelings going back to work tomorrow with the thought of Nex, the thought of their age mates having to mourn such a tremendous, just not only seeing a loss of a classmate, someone so early in their youth, someone who had too much to even start thinking about to offer and was doing all this to live in their truth and trusting everyone with their safety, their well-being, letting us into their life, and just there's a huge honor that you have in education where you have someone trusting you with their child, their future, their present, everything, that they come into this space with you. And I wanted to say thank you to Nex. Thank you to you all for just, despite how deep this heartbreak is and how there's not enough words to to just keep having to be in the face of loss and grief and pain and anguish and anger and just unending righteous fury and confusion and just never knowing who you can turn to, who you can trust with yourself, with your love, with your light. And then you look around here and you see everyone of all different walks of life, all different ages, just still persevering and still making time to carry Nex, just keep carrying on. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone who makes this possible and everyone who trusts us with their kids. And tomorrow, the next day, next week, we'll have Nex just in those hallways where there's just, at the same time, school can be this safe haven away from whatever violence you're enduring at home, in the streets, wherever you go before and after. And then once you're in school, This is a travesty beyond what I can say before you now without breaking down. So I can't even say beside myself, because physically I'm here with you all, and Nex is gonna be with me tomorrow, and it's just too many people we keep losing, and we just have to keep going. I don't know how, but thank you for everyone who's gonna come into classroom with me and see that there's someone looking out for them. And thank you for all the parents who are trusting all of us, whether we're in a school space or just around your families or even here right now. Thank you for making it possible that there's still love out there, and there's still people who you can share the camaraderie of just like, we have to exist no matter what. And everyone who's like Nex has to see that you can still have friends, you can still have loved ones, you can still grow up and be a trans parent, you can still grow up and make it possible for other kids, other people in their youth still figuring things out, that you're possible, you can exist. And yeah, just as much as I have so much love for everyone here, it's just, this is too much to bear sometimes. So thank you for being there for us to lean on when we don't know what to do with all these other feelings. Thank you.
Just as a kind of brief moment, if anyone doesn't have a candle or a glow stick and would like a light source, we do have some extra candles and some glow sticks up here by the altar.
Hi, my name is Elle, and I identify as a queer tween. And I just want to say that I am grateful to be who I am, where I am, and to still be alive, and to have people who support me and who care for me, and to have friends who love me just the way I am.
Woo! Woo!
Thank you so much. Great job.
I wanted to come back up here to talk about a couple of ways that you can take action on this. And also, I want to thank all of the speakers and the people who organized this. Just so you know, I was barely involved with setting this up, and I asked to shout some people out, and they've said that they don't want to be shouted out, and I respect their anonymity, but I do want to show some appreciation. So if we could all snap in appreciation for them, I really appreciate you guys. I also want to give you guys some next steps for action. The first one being, I'd like to tell you guys about the Coyote Closet program. Coyote is a local organization that advocates for the rights of sex workers. And they also do a lot of advocacy for the LGBT community and for homeless people. One thing that they do, one program that I participate in for them, is showing up to different areas where homeless people, and people, low-income people, and people who very much need resources can approach us, and we can approach them to provide them things like Narcan and hand warmers and water and snacks and menstrual products and hygiene supplies. So if you'd like to donate to that, you can go to coyoteri.org and you can check out the Our Projects part of the website. And then you can look for the Coyote Closet and donate, things that people might need on the street and things that people might need, hand warmers, gloves, etc. And you can also donate money. I know most of us are broke right now, which is why I mentioned the second option. Second, I'd like to bring you guys to some petitions, which I know none of us feel like petitions are very effective, but they do get our name into something where we can build community and actually take action through protests and radical work towards change. So get your phones out, because I'm going to pull up this petition right now. So the first petition is Justice for Nex Benedict. Transgender children deserve to live safe, full lives. And that's on Care 2. I'm going to repeat the name again. Justice for Nex Benedict. Transgender children deserve to live safe, full lives. And this petition is to demand an immediate resignation of Chaya Reichik from the statewide Library Advisory Board, and to demand comprehensive legislative action by the Oklahoma State Legislature to protect all students, particularly those from the LGBTQ community. So please sign that petition and share with whoever you can. And then the second petition, give me a second. Is demand an independent investigation into the death of Nex Benedict. I'm going to repeat that. That's on change.org. And it's demand an independent investigation into the death of Nex Benedict. That one's self-explanatory. I'd really appreciate it if you guys all signed both of those petitions. And then the last thing is I'd like to welcome anyone up who would like to take their form of prayer for Nex. Are you going to speak?
Can I?
Yes, you can. But also after, you can also come up here to share your prayers for Nex, and to mourn if you subscribe to Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or any indigenous religion, or even if you just want to pray in general. It's a very important time to share your grief.
Thank you.
Hi, if you can hear me, can I just hear you say hi back to me?
Hi back to me.
Incredible. Some of you may not know me. Some of you may know me, but my friends call me V. I've been a Rhode Islander for almost 11 years. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. My family has resided in Oklahoma for almost 50 years. My family was displaced by the Vietnam War, and we ended up in Oklahoma. I grew up at a time when Dan Savage had yet to brand his slogan, "It gets better." And I've always really resented that sentiment, that it passively gets better. As I hold the death of Nex dear to my heart, I also mourn the deaths of almost 13,000 children in Palestine over the past few months. All of these things are not unrelated. We often might want to compare violence against violence. And oftentimes the Zionist industry relies on propaganda very similar to how anti-trans propaganda moves here in the US and throughout the world. And I don't know if it's a true Venn diagram, and I don't know if it's just a circle either. I think of them as cogs. I think of them as machines. These are machines of death. There's no reason why a public school should be the place that a young person dies. There is no reason why a young person should die because of education. And there should certainly not be almost 13,000 children dead because of our taxpayer dollars. None of these are unrelated. Right now, here in Rhode Island, there are 2 provider protection bills that are going to be heard, hopefully, in this legislative session. Those are going to be major safeguards for families here in Rhode Island. These are also not isolated incidents. The queer and trans friends that I love and have dear to my heart, who are also from Oklahoma, many of us don't return there for clear answers, but we all share stories of being physically assaulted as young students in schools and having no one care. And I'm often asked, what would I tell my younger self? I don't know. There's nothing that I think I could say to a young person to prove that it gets better. I just had to get there. I had to figure out, how did I survive here? And it was connection, right? When I think about Nex, I think of Nex's name. I think of causal nexus. What is cause and effect? We know how this death is created. It is rhetoric. It is rhetoric peddled by money. It is peddled by private donors, and it is also peddled by the war machine that we as US taxpayers funnel. None of these are unrelated. And ultimately, what I also want us to understand is that this isn't far off and distant. School districts here in Rhode Island are also under very similar offenses because of individuals like Nicole Solis, who is, in my view, quite the soulless person. I think it requires a lack of soul to I think it requires a lack of heart, and it requires a lack of soul in order to file a lawsuit against a public school district because they are teaching true histories of race and of queer identities and of trans identities. However, empathy is no longer my concern. Empathy doesn't concern me anymore. The insistence on what will allow others to view me as an individual, as a human. I can be almost like a puppy. I can be the most idealistic kind of person, but the state does not regard youth as people who deserve rights either. And whenever I think about protect trans youth as a slogan, I don't want it to be divorced from a material action. When I mean protect trans youth, I also mean that it is ultimately about ensuring that all trans youth become adults. And the way we get there, there's not a simple answer. I can't tell you how I made it to adulthood other than a lot of awful things and a lot of good things. But I think if I could tell my younger self anything, right? It's that it is worth it because I am happier. But I'm also distanced from a lot of what I could accept as safe. And so, if you are an adult, I do encourage you to do clear work for the young people in your life. If you have young people in your life, to let them know that, no, you don't have to know who you are, but I can be someone who can support you as you figure out who you are, as you change your mind, as you make mistakes. That is something that a lot of young queer and trans youth don't receive. Some of you may know me from the Providence Poetry Slam. I'm going to just share a poem from Audre Lorde. It's called A Litany for Survival. But before I do this, I just want to have us clap it up again for the organizers and everyone keeping us safe tonight. Clap it up. Louder, louder, cheer and clap. Thank you for your work tonight. And Steve, follow Steve on Substack. All right. A Litany for Survival by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone for those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways, coming and going, in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward at once before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures, like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. What I do is want to offer as my final words. Thank you all so much for being here. And also, I hope you maybe say hi to someone that you don't know yet. If you all wouldn't mind looking around, actually maybe saying hi to someone that you haven't met. Hi, I'm V.
Hi, I'm Luca.
Hi, Luca. All right. I hope you all keep saying hi to each other. Thank you so much.
I just want to bring up one more thing. It's very short. The next time that we applaud, if people could refrain from the whistling. There are several Indigenous attendees here, and a lot of Indigenous people, especially within Plains Indigenous tribes, believe that to be summoning certain creatures that, and also just in general, bad vibes. Whistling is bad vibes at night. Do it in the daytime. Yeah, that's it. Keep talking to each other. Y'all love each other. Yeah.
Hey y'all. I hate to interrupt your engaging with the community. Nex's death hit me, as I'm sure it did all of you, like a truck. When I was in high school less than 5 years ago, for every slur that I was called instead of my name, never would I imagine that another student would commit such violence to me in an educational facility. I encourage you to observe the community you're in and to support one another in this area that is generally considered safe. Because without one another, we have nothing. I would like to take a moment to share a song with you all, if you don't mind singing with me, as you're able, to honor Nex, as it's the only way I really know how. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Thank you. Please make some friends tonight. We support each other. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bee. I use they, them pronouns, and my sibling is trans non-binary, and I didn't know that I was non-binary until last year, and I don't think I would have been able to explore that as openly without all the friends that I've made in the past year. They've all been very patient, and I just appreciate that so much, and I'm very grateful to have had the space to think about myself. And I don't want to take up a lot of time here. This is I just want to make it short, but I am gonna carry Nex with me tomorrow when I'm back on campus, and being non-binary means so much more to me now than it did when I first thought about it. If you need some positivity, there's someone on Instagram I follow named Jeffrey Marsh. They're very kind, loving, accepting, and they've helped me through a lot. So if you need that, they've been good to me, and they're good to you too, and they love you, and so do I. So thanks. Sorry, if anyone wants to write a note, I have an extra note card and a pencil, if you want. Okay.
Hello, I just wanted to share a song that reminds me. It's a tribe called Mamua, and their song makes me think of community and the soul that we can create when we're together and when we're close, and when capitalism and all the other things that happen in this world don't tear us apart. And I wanted to play it because every time I play it I feel like my soul is singing with it, and this is my own yeah. I don't know how to sing it, that's why I'm playing it. I'm sorry. And I just wanted to share it. So I don't know why I start like I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Pat. I am non-binary and trans, and I use they them pronouns. I don't know what to say. I feel very angry and helpless. I feel like our kids are facing so much in schools and so much danger, and that's where they should be the safest. I am fucking furious that the educators, the administration did not bring Nex to the hospital, and that there was a police officer in a video who was discouraging Nex from pressing charges because they splashed water at the girls. I just want to say that if you know any trans kids or kids who are questioning themselves, to talk to them and give them the space to be loved and accepted in whatever state they're in every moment they're in that state.
I want to say thanks to everyone who's come so far. Thanks for being out here on this chilly February night. I don't know if other people want to talk, if other people want to offer a prayer or a song or a poem or anything of that nature. In addition to being trans, I'm also a parent, and when Nex's death, that news hit me, it makes me not only afraid for myself and afraid for trans children, but also it makes me think about my own kid and how I would feel if my kid was murdered at school. And I want to offer something for Nex, and kind of the only thing that really comes to my mind is the song that I used to sing my kid every night when she was real tiny before she went to bed. So I think I will sing that as a lullaby for Nex. I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. I gave my love a chicken that had no bone. I told my love a story that had no end. And I gave my love a baby with no crying. How can there be a cherry that has no stone? How can there be a chicken that has no bone?
How can there be a story that has no end? And how could there be a baby with no crying? A cherry in the blossom, it has no stone. A chicken in the egg, it has no bone. The story of I love you, it has no end. And a baby when it's sleeping has no crying. Hush, little baby, hush, little baby, don't cry. The story of I love you has no end. If anybody else is called to speak, it's always open. If people are chilly and need to go home, that's totally a valid option. And I don't really know how this mic works, so if my wonderful PSL friends would help me deal with it, I would love that.
Looks like most people are starting to head out. I do want to offer this quote before we go, but I want you all to say it with me, okay? It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Thank you all for coming. If you all are interested in continuing the fight, look for PSL Rhode Island on both Facebook and Instagram. If you're interested in joining, look for pslweb.org/join. Thank you. Thank you for the organizer.